Hey guys, and welcome to my follow-up video for Dauntless, which is sort of a Monster Hunter-esque game that finally went into open beta on the 24th of May. I was finally able to properly play it because they finally fixed the server issue, so you don't have to wait in queue for like 3 or 4 hours before you get in, and I managed to make my way about halfway through the tier 4 island before I stopped. Because, and this saddens me deeply by the way, with the exception of this boss, I was just not having fun fighting any of the behemoths, and that went for a lot of the tier 3 behemoths from the 3rd island as well. Now, don't necessarily take it as me saying this game is bad. This game is a not for me, which doesn't mean it's not for you, okay? There are plenty of people that absolutely love it, and you might be one of them. Now, how did I come to the conclusion that this game is just not for me? Well, it sort of happened gradually. The first island is very easy, it's the tutorial island, so you have plenty of telegraphing going on from the bosses, and you have plenty of time to close the distance and deal some damage to the behemoth. The second island is a little bit more complicated. The attack patterns are getting a little bit longer and more elaborate, and the windows where you can close the distance and do some damage are getting shorter. And then you progress onto the 3rd island and it's like, welcome to the 3rd island, we hope you brought a bottle of lube. I'm serious, the difficulty spike going from island 2 to island 3 is insane. If you ever played Dark Souls, it feels like, you fight the Asylum Demon, which in this case would be the equivalent of the tier 1 island, then you move on to the Taurus Demon on the bridge, which would be the equivalent of the tier 2 island, but instead of having the gargoyles guard the first bell, you have Ornstein and Smo. That's the kind of difficulty jump I'm talking about here. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that the tier 3 behemoths are too difficult or even impossible. I got past them, it just took a couple of tries. What I'm saying is they got difficult in a, for me personally, very obnoxious way. They just got faster and faster and faster to a point where a lot of the behemoths had these jerky movements that would randomly hit you for half your health. This kind of difficulty just doesn't work well for me, especially when you have a slow combat system like in Dauntless and you can't animation cancel, which would be the one thing that would make it a lot more fun for me, but I'm pretty sure would ruin the game for a lot of other people. I would particularly like to be able to animation cancel with the hammer, which is a weapon that I fell in love with and I've used for the majority of my playtime because there are so many little things and intricacies you can do with the hammer to make it more effective. But it's also extremely slow. And while that wasn't as much of an issue on the 1st and 2nd island, it sort of became an issue on the 3rd island, and by the 4th island I had to switch back to the sword. Because the hammer was so slow compared to some of the faster behemoths that I ran into an issue where I would run up to a behemoth that just finished an attack and was in his okay come and hit me bitch's face. I would start winding up an attack, but it took so bloody long that the behemoth would actually telegraph the next attack and hit me with it. And every time I was like, what am I supposed to do? This is just bullshit. It's also when I realized why I didn't see a lot of hammer users on Island 3, and I think I've only seen one other hammer user on Island 4. It really didn't sit well with me because you have this cool combo system and these little intricacies with the hammer, as I've said already, but 90% of the time you're gonna get one hit on the behemoth and then you have to run away, or the behemoth runs away, which is something they really like to do. They like to run around all over the place. So you either have to spend stamina sprinting after them as they're jumping all over the arena, or you have to waddle over to them if you want to save your stamina, which feels kind of awful with weapons that use stamina for their attacks, which luckily wasn't the case for the hammer because you don't need a lot of stamina to use the hammer. That's actually the original reason why I picked up the hammer, because it wasn't as stamina hungry, so it wasn't that big of a deal if I had to run after the behemoth all the time. Now, the reason why I'm not calling these bosses terrible and I'm just saying that this is not for me is because I had a bit of a Google. I went on the forums, on Reddit, and generally I just read what other people think about these bosses. And what I found was kind of interesting because the bosses that I regarded as the most difficult and annoying and just straight up frustrating to fight were the ones that the community overall finds the easiest, whereas the ones that I found easy and kind of fun to fight were the ones that the community hated the most. That's when I realized that this is not my kind of game, and it never will be, because the things I hate are the things that the community likes, and the things that I like, the community generally dislikes. So as unfortunate as it is, because I can see people having a ton of fun with this if they enjoy this kind of difficulty, I will give this game a pass and just play something else. However, that once again doesn't mean that you're gonna hate it as well, so you should definitely give it a shot because it is free, so the link to the Dauntless website will be in the description down below. And as always guys, I thank you very much for watching, I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.